These are my tomatoes in the greenhouse. I planted them in the month of March. Some of them are ready to be harvested, you can see, and rest of them will be harvested soon. That means they're going to ripen in a week or two. By end of July, worst case first week of August, all these tomato plants will be removed from the greenhouse, and then I plant something else here. These are my tomatoes in the second greenhouse, you can see, and every plant has got plenty of fruit in it, and some of them are started ripening in this greenhouse as well. And also I got a few Brassicas, which is broccoli, and that's a red cabbage, and I got cauliflower in here and another red cabbage in this greenhouse. I put lots of tomatoes, leftover tomatoes, in pots, and they're doing really well. You can see here as well, and everywhere wherever I could find space, I just planted them, and they're doing really well. And this is my main tomato plant bed, and most of them are flowering, and also majority of this plant has got a fruit as well, you can see. And this is the second bed for the tomatoes. I can say there are around 50 plants in total in pots and on the ground together. These are my okra. They self-seeded last year from last year crop, and this is my lemon. I got around 20 this year. I mean, able to withstand after the fall. For example, this one is gone, and this one also gone, but this one is stable. And these are my aubergine plants. I put them in a pots outside on top of my rainwater harvested buds. These are my carrots, and this is Indian Gourds plant. And this one is the fig. It's looking healthy. Strawberry bed, almost finished the season for this year. Started by end of May. Strawberry harvest is short-lived, maximum 5 weeks, and maybe next week it will finish the season. I had shed loads of strawberries, and I'm going to basically reduce the size of this bed little bit, maybe 4 feet less. Currently it's around 22 feet long. I'm going to reduce it to maybe 15 feet. Then I'm going to plant some fruit tree at this corner, and that's more than enough for me in terms of strawberries. Grapes on the both sides, and parsley in the middle. They're growing well, and I got some kale in between and parsley as well. And this is the grapefruit. There are lots of bunches this year compared to last year. Then even the plant is grown more than what it was last year. That's what I expected anyways. And I'm going to prune it properly to try across this frame, and that needs to be done in the end of I think October or middle of November. This is my raspberry patch, and these are mid variety. That means you get a fruit in end of July or maybe mid of July, and they live for a couple of months. And this is my loganberry. You can see lots of fruit. We already started harvesting last 10 days or so. And again strawberries, more in this side as well. In middle I put some coriander for the seeds. I'm not going to harvest that now. It's nearly gone to seed. I'm going to harvest the seed for next season. and followed my blackberry. They shed loads of fruit in there, not yet ripen. I'm hoping in maybe weeks time they starts ripening. And I got some strawberries planted here as well underneath. They're all doing well. And this is gooseberry. These are my gooseberries. We harvested shed loads of them for the pickle, and still there are so many, plenty. And the blueberries are doing well. The size of the plant is grown up compared to last year, and you can see some of the blueberries are ready to be harvested. And at the end you see different color of the gooseberry. It's a dark pink or purple color. Now you can see the purple color gooseberries. And I got some currants here, red currants. They are ready to be harvested as well. This is my olive tree. Somehow this year it took a bit of a backseat. I don't know the reason. Probably I need to do a bit of pruning this year. Last year I haven't done any. These are my flower pots at Allotment. Most of them are perennial and some of them are annual, like marigold, sunflower. But the perennials like lupin, pansy, achillea, haspa, and those nasturtium are self-seeded, and poached eggs. And look at this side, sweet peas, and these are butterfly attracting. And I also put some larkspur plants here and there, so that some of the flowers here and everywhere in my allotment, so the bees get attracted, so I get the best pollination out of the bees. This is my cold frame for peppers and aubergines. And if you start from here, these are sweet peppers, and you can see some fruit in there. That's called candy cane variety. I'm going to harvest the fruit maybe in a week's time. They're good enough to harvest. And you see the aubergines there, plenty of fruit, and most of the aubergine plants. So far I haven't given any feed to these aubergine plants or a pepper plant. Probably I need to give them a bit of a seaweed liquid feed or a comfrey liquid feed this week, maybe today or tomorrow. And they're doing really well. No issues so far. They settled down. It took a long time for especially some of the varieties like the Indian aubergine. They took a lot of time to settle down. But once they settle down, they can start growing fast. And some British varieties, they settle down quickly because of the weather conditions. They already know. These are my first early potatoes. They are ready to be harvested. I'm going to cut down the stems so that it can basically stay in the ground for some time, and I can harvest whenever. These are the second early, and that side is the main crop. No issues this year. And I haven't watered them since I planted in the month of March. There's a shower a couple of days back, tiny bit of shower, couple of minutes. That's more than enough to keep this potato plants healthy. This is Japanese spinach. I need to harvest them, otherwise they go seed. It happened last year, so I need to be quick this year before they go to seed. I need to harvest them. And some of the spinach plants for my chickens I grow, I leave it to the seed. They like to nibble the seeds and peck the seeds. These are pine berries, and you see some of the fruit has just started coming up, and this is the variety of the strawberry. Once they start fruiting, they don't stop until November. That's good for me. These are the broad beans. They are ready to be harvested. I'm planning to harvest them this week so that I can plant something else in that space. And these are my borlotto beans. They already climbed 7 feet tall, and some of them has got some flowers as well, and rest of them yet to flower. And if you come this side, these are my dwarf beans. You got the pods as well, small tiny beans. Hopefully next week I can harvest from these dwarf French beans. And this side they are climbing French beans, and some of them has got flowers. Looking good so far, no issues at all. And these 3 plants are the Indian variety of the beans. These are my peas. I planted them in 3 different batches, and first batch is almost finished. I kept on eating at allotment itself, and the second batch, which is the tall one called Allotment, they're ready to be harvested. Hopefully tomorrow I'll harvest them. And then the third batch is just popping out with the pod, and I will harvest them in a few weeks time. When I harvest my first batch fully tomorrow, I'm going to replace with another batch of the pea seeds so that I can have another harvest this year. This one is another cold frame. I planted some watermelons, you can see, and some melons here. That spinach was planted in last October. I need to remove the plants very soon because my melon plants, they need a lot of space. They now started crawling properly. These are all different varieties of melons. These are the onions. I have harvested a batch of onions, red onions and normal brown onions. I would say around 60. I'm drying them up for use. I can straight away use them, but if I had to store them, I need to dry them. I got 4 beds of onions, and these are my beetroots. We harvested around 70 so far, and there are plenty to harvest. I'm expecting a few friends tomorrow, so they're going to take some of them. This is my sweet corn bed. My tiny chicken is trying to eat some salad leaves. The reason why I let her out is she can't eat properly. There's some problem by birth, but at least she's trying. She can eat something if I leave her for an hour or so. So I always leave her. She doesn't run away. She comes right to this bed and she tries and eating something. And there are shed loads of salads, and that particular plant is called varach, the replacement for spinach, and these are perennial spinach trees they call. And my dill is going seed already. Lazy to harvest or no time to harvest, and this is what happens if you don't harvest. Jermai, say hello. This is my brassica bed. I already harvested all the broccoli, 6 of them this side, and this is a calabrese, so I'm expecting some side shoots, that's why I let. And you see, these are the cauliflowers. I harvested couple, and there are 5 to be harvested today. And those are my, in the middle, those are my Brussels sprouts. And this bed will be planted with the autumn brassicas in 2 weeks time. This is my leafy bed. You see all the chard. It's grown up really well this year. And I got some salads and New Zealand spinach, that one is. And lots of lettuces and spinach trees. And lettuces again. And overgrown palak and fennel. Hello. Come this side to pack something. So yeah, and this is my apple mint, and these are cabbages, red cabbages. They're doing really well. They just start, you can see, just started forming the head. I got 12 plants here, and all of them are in a good shape and forming their heads. Some of them are big. Probably I can harvest this one and see how it goes. And in the middle I got cullets, and those cullets are winter variety, so I can harvest them during the winter. These are the cucumbers. Very first time I put them in a ground. I generally grow them in a pots, but this year I put them in a ground, and they really like the ground because the amount of nutrition they can grab themselves from the ground without our help. That's why they're gone crazy. And I also got the cucumber, different varieties of the cucumber other side of this trellis, and they're doing really well. These are my courgettes. I put 3 different varieties of courgettes in ground, and this is marrow. You can see the fruit there is called tiger cross. These are my summer sprouting broccoli, you can see, and almost all the plants they started sprouting. I need to harvest them when they're ready, otherwise they're going to go seed straight away. This is my Asian greens bed. You can see lots of Asian greens here. One of them is called chiraku. This is the one, light purple color stems. And this is one variety of amaranthus, and this is chococora. I let them grow seed. And again, this is chiraku, and this is amaranthus. You can see they are very healthy. I'm about to harvest them this week, and I need to refill this one because I harvested the palak a couple of days back, and few chard plants, leftover chard plants, I added to this bed at the end. Otherwise this is full of Asian greens. This is my kohlrabi bed. I got around 30. I already harvested, I think 6 or 7 of them for a friend, and some of them are ready to be harvested. Mainly my purple ones are harvested, not the light green ones. They are yet to form the fruit properly. I planted squash and pumpkin wherever I feel they can take the bed over. Once these brassicas, you can see the purple color broccoli, and most of them I started harvesting now. And everywhere I planted these squash and pumpkin. You can see one in there. These are the red cabbages, and you can see again this squash and pumpkin. And I recently harvested a lot of spinach here, and I sowed some of the spinach again variety and spare spring onions, and the courgettes I put inside the greenhouse at initial stages, then I moved them outside. I've been harvesting them. And also, if you see here, there are two different squash varieties, and this is the New Zealand spinach, and there's another plant there as well. Few spare fennel I planted here, and this is a squash. This is, if you see the leaf, this is the Indian pumpkin, and this one is another variety of squash, and squash again, and this one is a pumpkin Atlantic giant. It started properly growing now, and this one is a Indian pumpkin, and Indian pumpkin here as well. These are the Indian beans, and there are also one variety of Indian beans. These are called winged beans or asparagus pea. Last year I tried to germinate them, they didn't, and this year somehow I got 3 plants. First time I'm growing them. I would like to see how the fruit look like. Few squashes, these are called butterbush. It's a bushy variety, and plenty of onions I started harvesting from the other side, and few squashes here and there. And if you come this side, these are the kale plants, and also I put some squashes. These kale will be harvested in a month's time, by the time squash will take over the bed. These are the Indian beans variety, different varieties I planted, and they're reasonably doing okay. Last year I couldn't get them going, but this year I was a bit careful when I sow them and then pot them. And also, first batch I planted, few, I think the blackbirds, they dug them up and put them away. I had to, put the net on top of it this time so that they don't come in. So they're okay now. Again, these are some squashes. These are VB little pumpkins, the tiny pumpkins I grow every year. And this is the calabrese. I need to harvest them today. These are greyhound cabbages. Look at the head, it's properly formed, and I think this one I can harvest. Those are the exhibition variety of the cabbages, and they take some time to form the heads properly, and exhibition will be in the month of August, I think, end of August.